Okay, this is going to be my first YouTube live stream directly from a microscope through the iPhone, and we'll see if we get any visitors here. Uh, I have a couple of things on here. This guy right here in the middle is a Dileptus. Dileptus, he's a single-celled animal, well, a single-celled protist. This big guy over here moving with the flat head is a Aeolosoma, and he is a segmented worm, an annelid, sort of like a earthworm related. This guy wiggling right here, that is known as the dreaded hookworm. So let's check the hookworm while I got him on here. So that's a hookworm, and that's what gets in your dogs and people if you don't have a good immune system and you're walking around in the mud. So there you go. That is a hookworm, and that's about 150x. So, and that's what they do. They wiggle around like that, and they lay eggs, usually in your intestine or animal's intestine. The animal, then they'll hatch. The animal will poop out the eggs, and then a dog will come around and step on them, and the cycle continues. So that's what that is, a hookworm. I didn't know he was on here. Mainly what I have on here is a Dileptus, and that's what I was trying to stream, if I can find him again. All those green things right here, while we're in the neighborhood, that is algae, a kind of algae. And those are called Closterium. Closterium. So they're pretty cool to look at. But usually when you have Closterium in your water, it usually means your pond or your mud puddle is not polluted. You know, you want to see some algae growing. That is a diatom right there. So that's not even an algae. That's less than an algae. And here, that thing has a glass shell, and those things are all over the ocean, diatoms, and most of them do produce oxygen. But these green ones right here, Closterium, that is an algae. There's our hookworm. And whenever you dig in a mud puddle, you're going to get hookworms, okay? So that's going to happen. Like if you dig in mud or if you're working in your garden or anything, that hookworm is going to get on your fingers and everything else. But if you have a good immune system and all, nothing's going to happen to you. Yeah, you don't want to be putting them in your mouth. So here's and for some reason YouTube wants to keep adjusting my focus. So that's why it's going in and out. I don't know why they don't let me have manual focus on my iPhone. So that's a little frustrating. That is not so much of a surprise, but that little thing you saw roaming around was a rotifer. Oh, I don't like this. So there's the rotifer right there. And he's multicellular too. So he's multicellular. He's more like an animal. Kind of the same as a tardigrade. So I got to say already that I think YouTube does a better job of having your video a little sharper than Reddit, because this guy's looking really good, at least to me. Now I can't see it on your side, so hopefully he's doing well over there. And this is about 60, this is about 100x, and it's about 40 digital zoom. And usually these things are pretty still right here. They'll stay still and they'll just filter the water, but he seems to be on the move. That thing spinning around ship over there to the left, that's a Euglena, a type of Euglena. Miss Art, well, the next upgrade to my microscope, that would be, that would show any significant difference in what you're seeing right here. You know, remember, because I have polarizers that I got and a phase contrast, which, you know, those are in the hundreds of dollars. And, you know, each of them serves a purpose. The next big step would be a differential interference contrast microscope. And they get very expensive. And when I say very expensive, I mean between $10,000 and $20,000. So that would be the next big thing. And really, the next thing that would make a significant difference would be DIC, it's called. So this guy, he eats plants, not plants, but he'll eat little bits and pieces of algae. But these Closterium that are laying around, those big green things, are too big for him to eat. And that black thing right there is just one pebble, just one little tiny grain of sand or something. So this is a good test for YouTube. I'm gonna go back and look at it and see how it looks when I'm finished, because if I had to guess, it looks like it has a little better sharpness to it than Reddit allows. I'm not sure what those little circle ones are, but they're probably some kind of modal algae with flagella. Thanks, Motino. So it looks good. Oh, here comes my guy. That's what I was looking for. This is a Dileptus, and he's looking good today. He looks much better. And those rotifers, gotta watch out, because I think a Dileptus will zap them with that proboscis. Proboscis. That's what his nose is called. Somebody helped me pronounce that before. Proboscis. But if you're seeing him as clear as I'm seeing him, boy, he looks nice. And he won't eat those Closterium. He usually likes live stuff like this rotifer right there. And that other worm, I think that other worm, that other thing that just passed by was a Sparastoneham. Yeah, those green things are alive. That's algae. Closterium, I believe you pronounce them, Closterium. And these were actually in a mud puddle. These guys, all this stuff came from a mud puddle. Usually if you have this algae in your mud puddle, it means there's nothing, there's no chemicals or anything polluting the puddle. But of course, if algae blooms get out of control, even though they do make oxygen, they tend to block, they float on top and right on top of the mud sometimes and on top of the surface, and block all the sunlight for the rest of the things, and the other life below them will die. So algae's good and algae's bad. And if anybody's here from my Reddit streams, can you tell me, does this look better than Reddit, the same as Reddit, worse than Reddit? If I had to take a guess, it looks much better to me. Oh, Nemo said it looks much better. There you go. Did I see that before? Sorry about that, Nemo, if I didn't see it. Navinod says slightly better. Okay, because from where I'm looking, right on my camera, right on my iPhone, I mean, there's no comparison. I'm seeing this hugely sharp. I guess I could turn on my computer and look and see how it's coming over. You know what? I think I'll do that. See if we can keep him. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so you can watch him. All right, let me find him. Where did he go? There he is. Yeah, at least from the settings that I have on my computer, it, at least to me, however I have my computer set up, it's much, much clearer. So there you go. So when I looked at this from Reddit, I just never am satisfied with that's a Sparastoneham, I think. That's a single-celled organism too. He's not a worm. This is a single cell right here. So it's kind of amazing that these single cells are so big, but the multicellular water bear is tiny compared to these guys. Look, we got a rotifer right here staying still, so I'm gonna go to 100 and see if we can zoom in and maybe get, if he'd stay still here, maybe we could see him feeding. Yeah, look at that. See how he spins those, oh, come on, don't run off. Now he's under some algae. This guy over here looks like a UFO. That's some type of Euglena. I'd really have to look him up. And he's very, very small, because this is about 150 with no digital zoom. So that thing is very small. And some rotifers are big enough to eat that. Thanks, Carla. And for some reason, my comments disappear and they don't pop up when somebody comments. So that's aggravating. This guy right here, well, I'm seeing a lot of stuff from this mud puddle now that I got a clearer view. What is his name? I forgot his name. Gotta look him up. Oh, Euplotes. That guy right there is a Euplotes. Yeah, Omer, I got over 1,000, but now the trick is to get 4,000 viewing hours in the last 365 days. It's gonna be rough. After you get 4,000 viewing hours, you can they'll let you partake in their ad program. Like right now, they run ads on my stuff, and I don't get any money at all. They seem to want you to have 4,000 hours viewed in the last 365 days to before they'll throw you some pennies. So, I do take donations, but I'd like to make some money from YouTube and let them pay me. They're using my stuff. And this right here is a Euglena that's kind of being still. So, oh, and see that little thing moving to the bottom of the green round flying saucer? That is actually a diatom. And that produces oxygen. It actually has a glass silica shell. See it moving around? And that's what's all over the oceans. And a lot of things eat those, whales and stuff. And they also make a lot of the oxygen. So that's pretty good to see. This is a Euglena. Usually these things are moving around like crazy. So it's good to see one stopped right there. That little bitty thing below the Euglena, well, you're getting a treat today. That's going below them. That's bacteria. And it looks like a bacteria that's dividing. And it doesn't look like Spirilium either. So that might be some kind of cyanobacteria. You could see some bacterias with 200, 400x, but not too many. So you can see a lot of Spirilium. I don't see any on here right now, or cyanobacteria. So that's what that looked like. If I see any more, I'll zoom in on you. So here's another diatom right here. And this is from a mud puddle. So, and if you want to look, this right here is just one grain of sand or something right there. So that's how big this is. That's one grain of sand. And look how big it is compared to the Euglena. So. And this is just another piece of algae here. Very, very small. This might be, this is cyanobacteria moving. See how it moves? It's actually an algae also that can move around. This is bacteria that acquired the ability to produce oxygen from chlorophyll. I might be a little off on that, but that's what it is. These guys right here are responsible for why all life today is on Earth and why we all breathe oxygen right here. So, and digital zoom gets a little grainy, but if you look, you can see each nucleus of each chloroplast, if I'm saying that right. I may be able to go up to 400. Let me try my big gun here and see what we can see. Now this is 400. No, this is 650 with no digital zoom. So this is extremely, extremely small. And when you zoom in, it does get a little blurry, but this is cyanobacteria. And that little thing crawling along it is not bacteria, because bacteria don't look like that. And see the cyanobacteria right here, how they move? I mean, they actually move on their own. And they produce oxygen. So now cyanobacteria can be bad also. If you get a lot. No, Miss Art, I've never been to, unfortunately, since I've been doing this the last couple of months, I've been doing this for years and years, looking on my own. And as many times I've been to the beach, maybe once a year, I've never made a conscious effort to bring back any water, but I will this summer. So you're looking at something that's very, very small right now. So here's a diatom at 650x. So that diatom is very small. It produces oxygen, so it's pretty sweet having a diatom there. This is the Euglena, no digital zoom, so that's 650, no digital zoom. If I digital zoom in it, you could see the vacuole in there, that's nice. And usually these things are zipping around like crazy, so it's a little treat to have these guys here sit still. This is, so we're really looking, and I'm seeing a difference from Reddit already. In Reddit, there is no way that I would have even thought to go to this high power. All right, this is Closterium. This is algae. And I'm not an expert on algae. I'm not an expert on anything, but this thing might have multi-nucleated. See the things in them? Or it could be as chloroplast. But anything green you see is usually chlorophyll or chloroplast. So this right here is really zoomed in. Not even digital. So this is 650 X with just lens power. And see how out of focus it can get? Because like this part right here is a little deeper in the water than this part. So you got to focus it. And that's why if they're moving around, these things are hard to see. So I'm gonna go back out to 100. So now this is 100 and notice how small. So, and you look like there's one right here. Looks like they button heads. Yeah, immersion oil, really, I don't have to use immersion oil to slow them down. I have some other stuff called methyl cellulose that's made to slow things down. Immersion oil, I can use it on my 1000 slide, but usually you wouldn't put that in the sample. You could. It's not going to hurt them, I don't think, if you dilute it enough. But methyl cellulose is what I have to slow them down. And that, now on this slide, it's really not necessary. It does slow them down. It just thickens the water. Okay, it just thickens the water. So these guys right here are called Closterium right here. And this is really good. So this is about 150. Let's see, 150. Yeah, this is about 150 plus some digital zoom. So I'm liking YouTube streams. I mean, I'm liking them because it just seems like they're clearer. At least for me, I'm gonna go investigate the whole video when I'm off. There's another diatom. And if you look in relation to a grain of sand, okay, or a grain of dirt, that would be a grain of dirt. And if you ever get dirt mouth, I don't know, when you're a kid and it's kind of gritty, it's a little gritty, that's why, because it's this stuff. And I don't have the knowledge to know what this little tiny guy is, but he's tiny. So I'm gonna go back out to 40. And I'm gonna go, this is a rotor for here. How do I move my microscope? What was that? How do you move your microscope without it moving to a completely new location? I'm not sure what that means. Can you explain that a little better? And I'll try to answer you. Aeolosoma, here he comes. Doom, doop, 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 doop. Look at him. These Aeolosoma right here, they always look nervous. Oh, small movements like this? Okay, yeah, very small movements like this. I would always recommend, even if you budget's inexpensive, $100 or $50 or $300. Always, always save up enough. This is just my opinion. You could see this guy right here with a $50 microscope, okay? But you want to get one with what's called a 3D stage that has two knobs on the bottom of it, and you can really just move it very slow. See that? See how I can move it slow, or I can move it fast, or I can go up or down. If you don't get a 3D stage, now look, if you can't afford it, if if you can't afford a 3D stage, oh, you're talking about how I zoom in and out or move like this? I'm mixed up. So moving like this is called a 3D stage. So are you talking about how I zoom in and out? Yeah, okay, the 3D stage, I know there's a delay on the comments, but the 3D stage is what you're seeing me moving around right now. And to me, if you had to save another $50 to get a 3D stage, it's going to pay off immensely. If you don't get a 3D stage, your hands have got to be on the slide. You got to move the slide the whole time with your fingers. And, I don't even want to imagine doing something like this, with that. It's just not going to happen. So, without that 3D stage, my hands would be under there. I'd be moving it back and forth. And when you're looking through the camera like this, through the iPhone, everything's reversed. So you move one way and you think you're going the other way. so, so what I'm trying to do is get up to 4,000 viewing hours, okay, on YouTube. After you get 4,000 viewing hours, you can apply to have some of the ad revenue tossed in your bank account. And when I talk about ad revenue, I'm not talking about thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, you'd have to have a million viewers. But whenever an ad runs on your thing, instead of Google getting all the money out, they'll throw me a little bit of it for my content. But you need 4,000 hours before that happens. And from what I'm reading, live streams count. So this is 28 minutes that I'm going on right now. So if 10 people watch 28 minutes, that's 280 minutes, unless they change the rules again. So that's a lot. I doubt 10 people were watching for 28 minutes, but it adds up. Those green things are algae, Closterium. This guy is I think he's a Euplotes, that little guy. That is I think I'm gonna pronounce him wrong. Those little wormy looking things, Sparastoneham, they're single cells also. They're not really worms. This big guy right here is a real worm, an annelid. And this guy started to divide. I can see. Notice behind him, he looks like he's got another head growing out of him right there. He's starting to divide off, or he already started, and pretty soon that from there back is going to be another worm, and it's going to eventually fall off. Oh, he's tangled up in some Closterium. Looks like he's aggravated. That's funny. Get this weed off of me. Vile weed. Oh, they got rid of it. Sometimes this stuff can get funny if you're really into it. And that's a nice rotifer right there. Yeah, so the small movements, like y'all said, I'm just answering that question again, comes from a 3D stage. If you can't afford it, my recommendation would be to save up for it, and you'll love it in the long run, even if you have to save for another 6 months. This microscope's a regular light microscope, and it's called an Acuscope 3000 LED. Uh, it's fairly expensive for amateur microscopes. I think I paid $750 for it a few years back. I think for some reason now, inflation maybe, it's up to $1,200. So I really got a deal on it. And with donations from people you guys donated, I was able to get phase contrast on it. And I bought a couple of polarizers. And I'm gonna polarize this for a minute and see what we can see with polarized light. Some things are really, really good in polarized light, and some are not. So let's see what this rotifer does in polarized light. So you can see just by putting the polarizer on it, see how the minerals, anything shiny you see right there is either a starch or a mineral, okay? Whenever you see something shiny like that. So sometimes these creatures have minerals inside of them. I don't see any in this guy, so let me darken it a little bit. Yeah, you see that rotifer, very little around the outside of him, but if you look at the Sparastoneham, see, he's actually ingested some starch or minerals, okay? So now you're gonna get a little glare from the polarizer and stuff, but if you notice this worm here, he ingested either that starch or some minerals. He's eating mud and whatever else he gets in there. So that's what that is. So you can kind of come halfway, and where you get some polarization. And so you could see, look at that big bright thing. Is that inside of him? If it's inside of him, it's definitely a mineral, a piece of sand that he ate, and it's just reflecting that polarized light. And so you inside of him with polarized light. And I think each one of these polarizers, well, I don't know, I didn't get an expensive one. I think this setup cost me about $40 for the polarizers. And believe it or not, I got that from donations from you great people. So, I usually, I can't just go out and spend $60, $100 on microscope stuff. So when I started streaming, a couple of people wanted to donate, and I was happy, yeah. So I said, okay. So a couple of donations came in, and I went and bought stuff for the microscope, and now streaming back to you guys. So all these are minerals. You notice the green things, the Closterium, those are glowing because they're starchy. For some reason, starches glow in polarized light. And I think this is the boundary. This must be a bubble. Like this is the edge of the stage right here. See, this right here is water. From here up is water. This is dry. And this is water. So hopefully all the views that I'm getting here is being calculated. So let's say over the course of this video, 10 people watch for 10 minutes. Okay. Well, that's 100 minutes of viewing time, which adds up. So that's my goal, to get 4,000 and be able to collect some ad revenue. I'm gonna zoom out on him. Oh, it looks like he's in outer space. I'm gonna try to share my screen over to Reddit. Hey, he's living dangerous. He's going to the edge of the world. Yeah, you see that? See how that folds right there? That's water up here, and this is dry land down here. So he's right at the edge of the universe. So let's see. Oh, I took my eyes off for a second. He's gone. Where'd he go? I hope he didn't come out of the water and get on my leg or something. Ah, I lost him. Let me jump out of polarized light real quick. And whenever you zoom out like this, for some reason, YouTube takes control of my iPhone. And it zoomed back and forth. But where did he go? Is he hiding in here? Oh, there he is. Why did he go? Did he go way in there? Is that him or is that something else? Boy, why does he have to go in there? He's way in there. All right, let me see. So I'm gonna stream for about 10 more minutes, maybe slightly less. And I just posted a link on Reddit. Hopefully, oh, here he is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stream this guy. Let me go back to 100 for him. Oh, he's different. This is a. Oh no, he's the same. This looks a little different than the other guy we had. So I've never seen him today yet. Notice that he don't have a flat head, but he has segments. So this is an annelid also. Usually annelids are not poisonous. I mean, are not parasites. So he's a safe guy. But I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what he is. That's strange. I'm gonna have to look him up. Even I get surprised. so so here's the annelid. Uh, Aeolosoma, I believe his name is Aeolosoma. Here's one that's bigger than him, but you could see he doesn't have a flat head like that guy. And since he doesn't have a flat head, he's a different species, but he's still segmented. Okay. And I got to figure out how I can get YouTube to not try to autofocus. So. So it looks like YouTube has a bell and a feature that says save as a highlight. So when I get something decent, I'm gonna try to save it as a highlight. So this is the Aeolosoma, just going through some algae. I do have slight polarization on, so you can see the minerals, the rocks glowing. And you can look that up on the Aeolosoma. The red spots, I don't think we know exactly what those are for. Here's this other guy. And this is a segmented worm also, but he's different than the Aeolosoma because he doesn't have that flat head. Would I do an octopus? An octopus on the screen, on a microscope slide? I don't think they're that little. I don't think I can get them, if that's what you mean. But just so you know, everybody watching, this is 1 drop of pond water, okay? 1 drop. I'm not even a pond, this is puddle water. Here comes my buddy. Yeah, blood. I mean, no, I mean, I've never had anything from an octopus before. I don't even have any protists from the ocean. But yeah, I mean, you can look at different creatures' blood. I looked at my own blood. I used to think you can just get a little dab of blood, but you need a decent. I mean, you need a good pinprick to get some good blood on the screen. And I don't like to prick my finger. These are Closterium. These little algae right here, Closterium. So that's algae, and usually that means your puddle water is healthy. Aeolosoma right here, just moving around. And there's another Aeolosoma coming to check him out. And usually, there's the dreaded hookworm. Let's see what he's up to. So that right there is a nematode. Those other worms that you saw are annelids. Most annelids are good guys. Nematodes, like this, nematodes are usually rounder, okay? And they have tapered ends, like pinpoint ends. And many of them are parasites like this hookworm right here. So this hookworm is under 150x. And notice he doesn't show up good under polarized light. So I just dumped the polarization. Let's see. There you go. So that's a hookworm right there. Let me get my polarizer out of here. Well, he's dangerous to your dogs if your dogs don't have shots and stuff. But humans, I mean, yeah, humans could get infested with hookworms. I don't want to say it's rare, but it would be rare in industrialized countries. But you can get them. I mean, they usually will enter through your feet and hands. I think their larvae will burrow into your feet and hands. Their larvae make their way through your intestines, and they grow into these worms, and they lay eggs in your intestines, and then you poop them out, and then the next poor guy that comes around and steps in your poop gets the larva, and they repeat over and over and over. So this guy you don't want to have inside of you. Now, I don't believe, I'm out on a limb here and say if you swallowed this, your stomach acid would probably kill him. These things go through your blood first and then somehow get into your intestines where there's no massive amounts of stomach acid in your intestines. And that's where they lay their eggs. The eggs hatch. Sometimes the eggs hatch in your stomach, I believe. And the dogs and cats and stuff poop out the larvae and adults and eggs. And then when a dog or something steps in it or lays in it, a larva, it'll go through their feet or through their stomachs, and it gets, oh, look at that. You see in the water drying up. You saw that? Saw the little bubble move? So water is drying up a little bit. So, I mean, usually anytime you're digging in mud, you're going to get a hookworm. I tell you what, I think it's the most prevalent thing I ever get. It's the most prevalent animal I ever get when I'm doing stuff. Hookworms. And they never stop moving. They're nuts. Yeah, Roy. Yeah, Jermaine, it's awful. I mean, some people on Reddit have streams of their dogs and they tell stories of how their dogs died of hookworms. So, I mean, if you see a stray dog that's really stray and he's been stray for months, he's got hookworms. I mean, that's happening. That he's got hookworms. It looks like he's having a stroke. I think he's trying to commit wormicide. This is dry over here. This is no water, and this is water. It looks like he's trying to burrow over to the other side. I don't think he wants to go over to the other side. So these green things are Closterium, I think you pronounce them, Closterium. This guy's moving too fast for me to identify. Yeah. I don't know what that is. I'd have to look him up. I don't really know what those tiny ones are either. This right here, this is an annelid, definitely. He's segmented. You could see a hair or a CT on each segment of him. So these are segmented worms, and even though he looks much grosser, he looks more mean than that hookworm, these guys won't hurt your dogs. They'll drink these like soup. This is the Aeolosoma. He's a segmented worm also, and he won't hurt your dogs. But that little tiny hookworm is a beast. And all that dark stuff in there is stuff that they ate. And while he's being still, let me try to grab my phase contrast on here real quick. Sometimes with phase contrast, you can see their insides better. Yeah, you see how it's moving? You can almost see it circulating with phase if they'd stay still. The one downfall is phase contrast. When things are moving, you want to pull your hair out. And see that line right there? I got to find out what that is. That's something in my path. When I cover up my light under here, I see that line going through. So that's something up above. So And the way you can tell if that's in my phase contrast, if I cover up this, see it's still there? So that means something is somewhere, a hair or something is above my light, but below my camera. So really aggravating. Because see, if I go to this power, this is 100. This is how you do experiments, see where your trouble is. And I cover that up, you can still see that faint line right there. Something's on my stage or somewhere that's reflecting. Let me clean my... And it's not on the condenser. So I'll have to, after I'm finished this stream, I'm gonna have to find out what that is. Because even though you can't see it, it does take away some quality. So if it's not on my condenser, it's not on my light down here, it's gotta be between my camera, between my iPhone and the objective. I mean, it's gotta be between the iPhone and the ocular lens. So I'll figure it out. Thanks for the likes, if everybody likes this. And if you stick around for a few minutes and watch a few minutes of video with me when I'm live streaming, everything I've read says that counts toward your total minutes of your 4,000 yearly goal to have your streams monetized, where you can make some money from YouTube on your content. So I'm gonna go a few more minutes, and then I have to go to the store, and I don't have work today, so I gotta go to the store, pick up something, making gumbo. Anybody know what gumbo is? I know I only have 8 people on here. Somebody gotta know what gumbo is. It's fire. Yeah, you can make it like fire. We don't make ours too, look, you see he's sucking some stuff off that grain of sand. See him? He's actually trying to suck some stuff off that sand. Gumbo, it's like, I guess Northerners would call it like sort of like a soup. Could be a little thick. The roux, it's called. The gravy is called the roux. And I put shrimp and chicken and sausage in mine, and okra, stuff like that. So, so I guess if you're anywhere else in the world, you would call it some kind of soup. So if you just saw him, this is a little piece of, this right here is a grain of sand, okay? That's 1 grain of sand. And if you notice, when he was just tugging at it a minute ago, his mouth parts are on the bottom, and he looked like he was trying to get that green algae off of there. So that was interesting. So. Mostly, I mean, my gumbo, shrimp, chicken, and sausage, or andouille they call it here. But you can put crabs, blue crabs, freshwater crab in it. Oysters. I don't put oysters in mine. I don't like oysters. Ugh. Never did. Not even cooked. So I don't put that. But crab, oyster, shrimp. You wouldn't put anything like lobster in it or anything like that. What else? Most people put some kind of sausage in it. And you can get sausage gumbo, chicken and sausage gumbo. You don't have to get seafood gumbo. But if you were going to go to a restaurant here and say, give me a bowl of gumbo, it's probably going to have everything in it. It'll probably have some chicken, some shrimp, some oysters. Might even have, nah, it won't have mollusk. Nah, you'd have oysters in it and crab. And sometimes they'll put a whole crab claw in it or something, and you actually crack it and eat it. So I got 5 minutes, and then we'll be an hour. So I'm gonna make this stream an even hour, and then go to the store. You don't like seafood? Yeah, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. And I don't know why, but seafood, I guess it makes me itch. Like after I eat seafood, especially shrimp or blue crabs or anything like that, I get itchy. So something's going on there. So I think in the future, what I'm gonna do is, yeah, minus the okra. So you see, some people don't like okra. Like my wife, she hates it. She won't let me put it in. So when I make gumbo, I gotta make 2 pots. I gotta make a pot for me and a pot for her, because she just don't like okra. I love it. I'll eat okra, all kind of okra. What I'm gonna start doing with these, I'm trying to get a pattern down with my YouTube streams. This is the first stream from YouTube that I've done with protists. So if you watch today, you were actually the first one to see my protist stream. So if I ever get rich off of doing this, I'll mention you guys. And if I ever get real rich, I'll throw you some YouTube ad money as a gift for being the first ones. Yeah, fried okra is good too. You know what fried okra I like? I get it from, like, I don't know if y'all have a Piccadilly or Church's Chicken. They have good fried okra. Yeah, so if there's a way for me, go ahead and like this video, and the people who liked it within the first hour, if I ever cross the $100,000 in revenue mark, I will give away 20 grand to I'll split it up between you guys who were on this, who liked this video in the first hour. So, and you got my proof on the video. So that's a long way away for 100 grand. I got to really build this channel. And look, this guy, he looks like he's taking a break. People do make that much. People make millions streaming on YouTube and live videos, but they usually, they have, 150,000 viewers each time they stream. They have content that people go back and look at. And yes, they have ads. Those ads that run, the more people see them, the more they make. You got YouTube millionaires that do nothing but make YouTube videos. That's a fact. Yeah, that sand, I know it's delayed. But that sand, those things right there, it does look like glass. Basically, sand is silica, I think, so sort of like glass. But that's 1 grain of sand. Okay, gang, I'm gonna go about 30 more seconds and I'm gonna end this. So let me get on my worm here. So I have something good to end him on. Thank you all for coming. And I might stream again later tonight on YouTube, just to get another stream going. So thanks for coming. Thanks everybody for commenting, and I won't forget you for being my first ones. Thanks, Jermaine. Thanks, Estorbertium. I think I'm pronouncing that right. See y'all later. Bye. Yeah, I just saw a comment. An 8-year-old made 22 million from reviewing toys. So keep that in mind, and I'll share my profits. So, but we got a long way. Thanks.